Hi, everybody. Andrew Champagne here alongside JD Fox for this week's edition of Champagne and JD. It's been a while. There's that Stained reference. But despite the fact that we've each been really busy and traveling all over different parts of the country, we are back, and we're back for a very good reason. It is opening weekend for the fall meet at Keeneland, and this show features an analysis of the late pick four on the Saturday program. Saturday's card at Keeneland, a really good one. 5 graded stakes races, 11 races in total, many big fields. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to diving in. But first, JD, where the hell have you been?
I've been gallivanting around places, doing things. No, I've been busy and been making some racetrack trips. I was at Santa Anita opening day and hurried home and flew back and did coverage for ABR on Santa Anita this past Saturday. Obviously saw Medina Spirit do Medina Spirit-y type things. And gave out the horse that finished second at 50-1, made a nice exacta. So that was positive. And making big plans, going places, doing things, trying to make some track visits happen, going out to Keeneland next weekend, which should be exciting. But we've got, and it'll be a great card then too. We've got the QE2 lined up next Saturday. And I mean, obviously we're going to be talking about that next week, but this week, here in Arizona, getting ready to do a show with you. Where have you been, Andrew?
Well, you gave yourself the Animaniacs thing down there. I feel like I ought to have the Johnny Cash thing because it feels like I've been everywhere. 4 weddings in 6 weeks ended last weekend, so I've been very busy and very tired. Having said that, congratulations to all of the newlyweds in all of the weddings that I have been to. 4 weddings across 3 different states and several different time zones. I'm sorry, the Animaniacs thing is just hysterical. That almost busted me up. I appreciated that, though. I mean, if you're Yakko, does that make me wacko? And who would be Dot? Probably Rachel McLaughlin?
No, I'm cute. I'll be Dot.
No, you're not. Never, ever say that. My goodness. Okay, this just took a dramatic turn. Wow. By the way, when's the new season of Animaniacs coming out on Hulu? Isn't there another one coming out?
There's another one coming out. I don't have a date.
Okay.
Maybe Andrew will throw that into the Google machine here as we transition to the other topic that seems to be gripping the world here as we're just a little over 3 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup Classic. And this is going to be a very interesting race. And I think there is some pace potential here.
Indeed, there is. Season 2 of the new Animaniacs next month. Just look that up. Thank you, Google machine. Very much looking forward to that one. The return of Animaniacs, very good. I'm not going to say great, but it was very good. And the Animaniacs going on an expedition from LA to Burbank or whatever it was. If you've ever lived in Southern California, you know it's absolutely hysterical. But steering us back on topic here, yes, if you have a Breeders' Cup Classic horse, chances are it's a front runner. Now, from a talent perspective, I think it's pretty cut and dry. I don't see, if all is equal and everyone runs their races, I don't see how Brad Cox loses. If Nick Sko goes out and nobody runs with him, Nick Sko wins. If Nick Sko goes and Hot Rod Charlie goes and Art Collector goes and a couple of others go, well, there's that big gray essential quality sitting in the catbird seat a couple lengths behind, ready to pounce as the field turns for home at Del Mar with that short stretch. Now, with that in mind, if you don't like any of those horses, you're going to get a pretty gigantic price. And in our lengthy pre-production meeting ahead of this show, JD talked about how he likes a horse that can potentially upset the apple cart. And I admire the spirit because, look, if you look at these past performances, for one thing, Nick Sko has to regress. If Nick Sko doesn't regress, the race is over. But, JD, you have a bomb to potentially watch in this particular race. I don't know who the bomb is, but I'm excited to hear your reasoning behind this because this takes guts.
and you said Spirit, and it has nothing to do with Spirit. Looking at, we'll use Bet 365 as our example here of an overseas book that has odds right now on the Breeders' Cup Classic. Knicks Go 5-2, Essential Quality 9-2, Medina Spirit 7-1, Max Player and Art Collector 8-1, Hot Rod Charlie and Life is Good 10-1, and then we get to my choice at 14-1, Happy Saver. Yes, you will noodle through that a little bit. And obviously, I'm hoping that we see the Happy Saver of 2020, early 2021, the undefeated Happy Saver, and not the Happy Saver that we saw in the Suburban or the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Obviously, was trying to defend in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Just was bested a little bit that day, and obviously beat the favorite in Forza de Oro. Max Player drew away in the stretch, looked really impressive. Kudos to the connections there, but I do think that Todd Pletcher here has a horse that can sit right off of it and get first run, be right there with Essential Quality. And I think if you're looking for a horse to get first run in this race, I would much rather take, overseas right now, 14-1. Let's be honest. If Happy Saver's in the field and the field is what we think it's going to be, Happy Saver's probably going to be 20-1. And I would much rather, with the talent that we've seen, we haven't necessarily seen it in the last couple efforts, but we know the talent's there to sit off the pace, make one move, and come with a gigantic run as we saw in the Jockey Club Gold Cup last year. I think at a price, given the race shape, I'm willing to give Happy Saver a shot at this stage.
Thank you for not saying Tacitus. I feel like we're going to wind up leading up to the Breeders' Cup Classic with Tacitus getting ready to make his grand return and people trying to talk themselves into Tacitus. Everyone, if Tacitus runs in a big spot, don't talk yourself into Tacitus. He is who we think he is. And the same can be said, by the way, for Code of Honor. I'm done with Code of Honor. Can we stop with Code of Honor?
Last time they faced each other, Happy Saver beat Tacitus by 8.5 lengths. So
there you go.
I'm good. I'm good with Happy Saver in that
good
spot.
All right. That is not quite as crazy as I thought you were going to go with the Cheese Whiz, but it is still an opinion that if you're right, you're going to get paid and get paid pretty handsomely. Having said that, though, you look at the Breeders' Cup, there are people who think Knicks Go can't lose. If he's the Knicks Go that we think he is over a Del Mar surface that is very kind to front-running speed, he's going to be really tough. You said 5-2. I got the under on that. He's probably going to be 8-5, 9-5, maybe.
I said you could bet 5-2 right now today, is what I was saying. You can get 5-2 right now.
Really? Anybody over there in Europe want to book that for me?
Yeah. So Bet 365 5-2, Sky Bet 3-1, Paddy Power 3-1, William Hill 7-2.
7-2? Ooh. All right. This.
William Hill has Knicks Go and Essential Quality as even 7-2 favorites right now on the board.
Wow. That's an underlay on Essential Quality, and I like Essential Quality. I think Essential Quality is a really good horse. They could get the pace set up, but
or if you really like Brad Cox from William Hill, you can get Folsom for 66-1. If you just want to go crazy with the Brad Cox mojo, it's there if you want it.
It's there, and you're right. It is very, very crazy. Having said that, we're 4 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup right now? Thereabouts? Sound about right? Okay. I'm not sure if I can read a calendar. It's been a while since we've done this, so you got to bear with us. We're working out the kinks as we try to get back in rhythm ahead of the Breeders' Cup World Championships coming up in 4 weeks from the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Stay tuned for a whole bunch of coverage on the final rounds of the prep races. We will, of course, have some interviews, some handicapping on this show. If you're new to us and you like what we do, go on down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really helps us out, and we really hope you enjoy the content that we've got in store for you leading up to horse racing's year-end championship event. Speaking of championship events, several very important prep races coming up during the fall meet at Keeneland. We're recording this on Thursday night. Opening day is Friday. Big day coming up on Saturday, as we've mentioned. 11 races, 5 graded stakes races, and 3 of them are in the late pick 4, which kicks off with race number 8 and goes through race number 11. Big field signed on for this one. You don't necessarily have to take too many gigantic stands here in order to walk away with what I think is going to be an overlaid payoff. Shocker of all shockers for longtime viewers, JD and I see this sequence very, very differently. Isn't that right, JD?
Yes. So I will give a caveat here. We are doing the late pick 4. We probably screwed up in doing that because there is a guaranteed all stakes pick 4 that starts the race before in race 7. But we're not the only show to do this. Magic Mike also did this same faux pas earlier today.
Well, in fairness, I don't think it's that much of a faux pas because race number 7, yes, it's a very good race, but it's only a 6-horse field. We swap out
single Estilo Talatoso and you just move on.
Well, we swap out a 6-horse field in race number 7 for a full field of 11 horses in race number 11. This is going to pay more. I thought about that before we came on the show, and I'm perfectly happy with us doing the late pick 4. If you want to do the late pick 5, fine and dandy. We're a pick 4 outfit. This is what we do. We start things off in race number 8. One of 3 graded stakes races in this sequence. It is the Grade 1 First Lady Stakes for older fillies and mares going 1 mile on the turf. May very well be a prep for either the Breeders' Cup Mile or the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Horses have used it both ways in the past. And if this doesn't look like enough horses, don't worry. We've got 3 more on the next page. A field of 13 runners set to go postward in this one. Altica, horse number 3 in the program, your 7-2 morning line favorite. Much has been made of these morning lines on Twitter, and I am going to stay away from the low-hanging fruit. I will simply say I'll take the under on that considerably because I think Altica is going to be a pretty heavy favorite.
Well, I'll go ahead and start it here because you are just going to single who you feel like is going to be the pretty heavy favorite in this race for Charlie Appleby.
Yes. What has Altica done wrong since coming to the United States? Absolutely nothing.
Only ran at Naira tracks.
She has rallied to win a pair of Grade 1 races against Grade 1 opposition. Summer Romance, her stablemate, would be the second choice in this field, and she has comfortably bested that rival in both occasions. This horse just does not run a bad race. When Charlie Appleby ships, he means business. Now, does that mean Altica is invincible? That's probably not the term that I would use. However, I think you can make some money leaning on Altica and leaning on another single that I have later on in this sequence to where you can play a cheap ticket a couple of times and potentially work your way into a nice score going that direction. Altica is going to fire. If she does, she probably wins. And if she fires, another horse in this race would need to fire a career best shot to beat her. Possible, yes. Likely, no. To me, Altica is a single under those circumstances. And if she runs a good second or third and somebody beats me, I'll come back with the pick 3 in race number 9.
I am taking a very different tactic.
There we go.
And I am looking at a scenario here with all of the outside horses. And you might be thinking, this is death. They're lined up 9 through 13 on the course. But here's what I think we're going to see in this race. I don't see a lot of pace besides the 9 blowout. And I think blowout is going to be on this race to the front. And I think all of these outside horses that want to be sitting right off the pace and even maybe want to be a little further back from the pace are going to get drawn in. I really think there's going to be 2 races here. I think it's going to be all the outside horses following blowout to try to get over, and then the other 8 horses in the field. So I am taking a stand against the favorites just because I really do like blowout. Blowout's my top pick in this spot because I do think that blowout has a pace advantage over the rest of this field. And I think based on the shape of this race and how horses are drawn, I think horses like Princess Grace, horses like Delika's got speed. Delika can sit right off and can upset at a price. La Seigneurie is the horse that you would love, for me to mention that hasn't won in a long time. I don't have my hanger. Hasn't won in a long time yet. I always seem to play this horse. And then Viadera on the outside hasn't done a lot wrong since coming to the States. Is 4 for 6, lost to Regal Glory, lost to Newspaper of Record. I mean, that's not a bad record. 7 wins in 15 starts overall. We've got a couple Chad Brown marches here on the outside. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 to start things off here in the late pick 4 for me as we head to race number 9, Andrew.
Well, we've got most of the field covered in race number 8. If for some reason none of us get through, we'll start a pick 3 of shame in race number 9, the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity. 2-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. Remember, it's that short stretch configuration, so they're going to start near the top of the stretch. They're going to finish in mid-stretch. Remember that. Don't be alarmed when they turn for home, and it seems as though the front runner cannot be caught. We've got another big field sign on for this one as well. It's a field of 13. Double Thunder is 4-1 on the morning line. I don't think that's going to hold up. Number 13, Classic Causeway, was a very impressive debut winner at Saratoga last time out. I think he's probably going to go off the favorite in here, but I don't think there's going to be an overwhelmingly short price in here, and for good reason, because a lot of these horses can run, and a lot of these horses, JD, seem like they're bred to go 2 turns. I think this is going to be a fascinating race, and because of that, I'm going to go 5 deep. I'm using some of the logicals in this particular spot. Double Thunder stretches out. I think we'll like the added 16th of a mile here. He went a mile at Monmouth in the Sapling, didn't really beat a whole heck of a lot, but I like the gradual progression this horse has been going in his career. Won the debut. You see the buyer figure 60, 64, 68, 73. Does need to step up, but I like that he showed a little bit more early interest last time. I think the rail draws a plus. Number 3, Stellar Tap, best known as the horse that gave Steve Asmussen the all-time win record. JD, by the way, had that one at a pretty nice price that day. Got to throw that one in, given the pedigree. By Tap it out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare. Maybe bounced a little bit last time in the Iroquois. Don't Wait Up has been training lights out at Belmont for Tony Dutrow. This was a horse that I really liked last time at Saratoga. Won wire to wire in the mud there. 80 buyer speed figure. Buy upstart out of a Proud Citizen mare. So not the most flashy breeding, but you see 200,000 at auction. You see that kind of work tab. Would not be a shock if this horse was a 2-turn monster in the making. I've mentioned Classic Causeway, but the big price that I think you need to use is number 11, Costa Terra, who broke the maiden first time out, then ran into a race with a bafflingly slow early pace last time out at Ellis Park. You see 7 furlongs. You see 23-1. You see 46-4, and you see that this horse was 5th to 7 at the first call. Yeah, that horse wasn't going to make up a ton of ground, but still finished, beaten just a half length that day. By Gun Runner, out of a Tappet mare. That's distance top and bottom, and I think it's telling that Steve Asmussen enters a couple in here. He's got Stellar Tap, who is going to have a shot. He's also got Costa Terra, and I don't think you can ignore that one at 20-1 on the morning line. If you're playing contests, if you're playing these multi-race exotics wagers where you need a knockout horse, I think you could do a lot worse than horse number 11 in race number 9. I am 5 deep. JD, you're 2 deep, and you're using Classic Causeway, but you're also using a horse I did not use, and that's American Sanctuary.
And really, for me, if you look back last time out for American Sanctuary, obviously in the Sapling, facing off against Double Thunder, a horse that you used, I think American Sanctuary was much the best that day, just had a lot of trouble come his way, and unfortunately it's becoming a bit of a trend. Ran into similar trouble in the Prairie Gold Juvenile at Prairie Meadows, but has been a very honest horse that just seems to get better as they go out in distance. They tried this one first at 5 furlongs on the synthetic, then broke the maiden going 5 furlongs at Prairie Meadows, finished second in a stake going 6 furlongs, finished second in a stake going a mile. I do think American Sanctuary is rounding into form. I love this pedigree. Any mare out of Dubai, I mean, that is what I want to see for a dirt horse in the U.S. So I love with American Freedom on the top side. I just love this breeding. This was a Steel OBS March of this year. $47,000, has already won the Connections Dare to Dream Stable, $80,000. This is kind of an upset. And really, I'm big on Classic Causeway here. I do think Classic Causeway is probably the speed between Don't Wait Up and Classic Causeway. I think Classic Causeway can just clear and move on. And if there is a speed battle, I think American Sanctuary is going to be in the right spot to pick up the pieces. So I kept it pretty simple here. I figure you either got to drill down 1 or 2 horses here, or you might as well take the entire field. It's one of those races. So I'm just going 2 deep after going 5 deep in the opener, 7 and 13 as we are midway through this pick 4 heading to race number 10.
When we said we had 2 different approaches to this sequence, we meant it. And that continues in the Keeneland Turf Mile. It is a Grade 1 event for 3-year-olds and up, naturally going 1 mile. Horse number 10 in the program, Order of Australia. All he did his last time at Keeneland was win the Breeders' Cup Mile at odds of 73-1. You're not going to get 73-1 in here. He is the 7-2 morning line favorite in a big, big, big field of 13, anchored by Some Like It Hot Brown on the far outside, who JD is best known for what?
Well,
he won a race at Saratoga at the wrong distance as a 2-year-old.
That is right.
I must always mention that the people that did that need to get dragged hard for that. There was no excuse at the time, and there's no excuse now 3 years later. Having said that, it's a field of 13. I'm not impressed. This is a Grade 1 in name only. The American Turf contingent this year is just not all that good, at least not in the mile division. Give me every single Euro in a couple of weeks. And on that note, give me a Euro not named Order of Australia as my top pick in here, and not just a top pick, a single, and not just a single, but a horse that this guy has loved many, many times and who is getting off the bandwagon in this particular spot. I am referring to number 4 Space Traveler, who comes in after running second in the Woodbine Mile. Before that, he was 4th in the Mr. D at Arlington Park, and in both of those instances, he had 0 pace to chase. Absolutely none. I think he gets more pace in this spot, and he gets his regular rider back. Tudhope did not make the trip to Woodbine. There were some travel issues. He wound up with a substitute rider that I thought did a very nice job, but there was just no catching that horse loose on the lead after going the first quarter in 24 flat. 24 flat over the turf course at Woodbine is like walking. There was just no chance that anybody was getting town cruise that day. However, I think there's some speed in here. I think this race shape sets up much more favorably for Space Traveler. And as a result, I'm going to go out on a ledge a little bit in here because I do think you're going to get that 6-1 morning line price. I think it's a very good betting race. And as I've mentioned, I think there is some speed signed on. I think number 5, Tell Your Daddy, needs to go from post number 5. I think Brown Storm has absolutely one way of going from post number 8. Diamond Oops is not going to be too far back. This is a sprinter that's trying a mile because reasons. Field Pass has some early speed, and JD, I imagine you'll talk a little bit more about that one. Some Like It Hot Brown has some early speed. I think it's going to be a respectable pace up front for the first time in the last couple of starts for Space Traveler, and I think this is the start where he puts it all together at a nice price. 6-1 on the morning line. Really hope we get that price. He's a good value play for me, and he's a single in this sequence.
I love Space Traveler, and one of the things that I wish we would see here is it's raining currently in Lexington, but it's not a lot, and they're not expecting rain the next 2 days. I think we're going to get firm turf, and I would much prefer Space Traveler going over a bit of a ground with some give in it. The other thing that concerns me a little bit is where's the break been for Space Traveler? It's been a pretty constant, major stakes races dating back to June 11th until now. This is going to be the 6th race of the form cycle. Those two things, to me, I'm going to sit out here. If Space Traveler wins, I will be kicking myself, Andrew, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. Ivar, defending champion of this race, has done absolutely nothing wrong. Paulo Lobo is great in this spot. It gets horses prepared coming off the layoff here. You don't see it often with his barn, which is growing in size, but still not a huge barn. But really, won this race last year, loves Keeneland. A little bit of a disappointing effort, had some traffic trouble in the Breeders' Cup Mile that Order of Australia won. Still came on for a strong fourth, only beating 2 lengths. I think it's Ivar's race to lose. I think the setup is perfect. And really, I look at Field Pass as a lone speed potential if, I think Field Pass is the speed of the speed. This could still very much play into being a speed bull. Some like a Hot Brown Storm, Order of Australia will be up there. Tell Your Daddy will be up there. Diamond Oops wants to be on the front end. I do think Field Pass is so much better at a flat mile, and I think you throw away the 4-star Dave. I've been saying that for weeks. Anywhere I go here, that 4-star Dave was a weird race that everybody.
I was there. I can attest. It was weird.
Everybody just needs to throw it out. And if you look at, the Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup, which is one of the longest names. I'm glad I could actually click and look at it, because if you're looking at it on the form, good luck figuring out what the name of that race is if you're not familiar with the stakes races that normally take place at Laurel that was run at Pimlico in this circumstance. I think flat mile for this horse is good, and I think Field Pass is the speed of the speed. So Field Pass, maybe something crazy happens, a la the Woodbine Mile, and Field Pass is going to be tough to catch. But really, to me, Ivar is the class of the field, and I think Ivar defends the trophy in a different named race than it was last year. No longer the Shadwell Turf Mile, just the Keeneland Turf Mile. Take a little bit of getting used to there.
Yeah. I don't want to say that these are concerns with Ivar, but these are 2 things that I noticed. One, he's only had 1 race off of Lasix. Remember, the rules have changed. And that race was a 6th in the Grade 1 Turf Classic. It's not like that was a terrible race. I'm not going to hold that against him too much. The thing that's a little more curious to me, though, the blinkers go on. And it's not like he's unfamiliar with blinkers, but this is curious because last year in this race, they took the blinkers off, and he went by everybody like they were standing still at a bus stop. Now the blinkers go back on, and I'm just not quite sure what to make of that. Ivar, in his best day, could absolutely win this race, and that's probably the horse that I respect the most, other than the one that I singled. But ultimately, those 2, combined with the fact that he's not going to be a gigantic price, that led me off of him a little bit in this spot, and I just decided on Space Traveler, who I have liked a little bit in each of the last couple of starts. And as I've mentioned, I just think the race shape sets up for a closer in here. I think it's going to be real interesting to see who gets the trip in that last quarter mile. There's going to be at least one closer just crying out for ground and doesn't get it. I hope that isn't Space Traveler coming down the lane.
Yeah, and really you have to go back to the Tourist Mile at Kentucky Downs last year for the last time we saw Ivar without the blinkers. It was a strong third. I think
it was fine.
Flavius or Snapper Sinclair might be favored if either of them were running in this race. I don't know. But I can say, Ivar, back class of this field. I do think Ivar's got a good shot at repeating here as we head to the final leg for something completely different.
Yes, Monty Python represent here, as 2-year-olds will go a mile and a 16th. As we've mentioned, we could have previewed the all-stakes pick 4. We decided on the late pick 4, in large part because race number 7 has 6 horses. This has 11 horses, and your guess is as good as mine with regard to which of these runners will go favored. The morning line favorite is 4-1. That's giant game. A lot of these horses come out of the same race on September the 18th at Churchill Downs. The question is, how do you interpret that race? What horses do you want coming out of that? And if you don't think it was the most live race in the world, are there any alternatives that could potentially spring up? Now, I've singled twice, and part of that is so I can keep the cost of my ticket down. Part of it is, okay, I get both my singles home. I get a horse home in race number 9. I'm going to be live to a nice little score here on a $10 ticket that will hopefully show up here very, very shortly. There we go. So I'm 4 deep. JD is 3 deep. And we have one horse in common. Again, very different approaches to this sequence. I didn't think the September 18th race was all that bad. However, there's a couple of horses I like in that race that chased Giant Game home that day. Number 3, Hitting Bombs, just needed a race. You see that pedigree, gun runner out of an elusive quality mare. Horse wants 2 turns. Brian Lynch horses a lot of times need a race to get going. His second out numbers are not bad. His numbers with 2-year-olds this year are actually very, very solid. And I like the fact that this horse seems to be doing what he wants to do. Julien Leparoux sees fit to ride back after riding in the debut where he was 1-paced. Everything says 2 turns. I've got to use him. Number 6, Surfer Dude, is another with a pedigree that screams 2 turns. By Curlin out of a Tisnow mare. That horse wants to go 9 turns, not just 2 turns. Need to use that one. Giant Game is on the ticket. Nothing wrong with running 3rd in the debut. The pace in that race was a little bit quick, so seeing him run on late for a share made a lot of sense. Has been working well since then. Can't find a reason to knock him. Need to use him. However, the horse that I think is the stranger danger horse is number 10, Let My People Go. Great name, by the way, by Pioneer of the Nile out of a mare named Taboo. If you're going to go biblical references here, Let My People Go is a pretty darn good one. But this is a horse that hasn't done a lot wrong. Ran 2nd in the debut at Ellis Park, then ran 2nd, beaten just a half length at Kentucky Downs on the turf. Comes back to dirt, tries 2 turns, and is bred to really like it. This is a horse that is a half to 5 winners, including a graded stakes place horse named Durlou, who did her damage going long on dirt. This horse goes long on dirt, has enough early speed to, I think, sit close coming out of the outside post. There's enough of a run into that first turn to where I don't think the outside post is going to be too much of a problem. And I think you might get a little bit of value because he's not coming out of that September 18th race. I need to have Let My People Go on this ticket. 3, 6, 7, and 10 for me to round out a ticket that, as I've mentioned, has 2 singles, is a $10 play. And if you want to play $30 or $40 worth of tickets, that's what the repeat button is there for. And I think that's the way to potentially make some money on this sequence. I don't think Altica loses in leg number 1. In leg number 3, we'll try to get Space Traveler home at a little bit of a price. And in the other 2 legs, we've got plenty of coverage. Nice flyer for you, even if you're just playing for $10.
Yeah, I look at this, similarly to you in that, you got to take something away from the September 18th race at Churchill based on just that being such a common running line amongst these. I think Call Me Midnight in this field will have a chance to get the lead as opposed to last time out where it really was just on chase mode all the way around the track. I do think Call Me Midnight stands out as a potential lone speed here. So I am going to include Call Me Midnight as on my selections here. I think Giant Game will be a deserving favorite in this spot. Everything in the pedigree says this distance and this surface and everything.
They want turf, actually. You see Giants Causeway and More Than Ready. I hope we see that horse on turf at some point.
Yeah, I look at, it's certainly a potential. The dam has produced a lot, and it's kind of a mixed bag here. You've got 44 dirt starts, 27 turf starts, 3 synthetic starts, some isotherm out of Lawn Row. I mean, that's a big turf pedigree there, but you see some successful starters like Geo Game with Gio Ponte on the dirt. So very versatile mare here, and I see no problem with Giant Game enjoying the dirt here as well. And then the other pedigree play for me, and the other horse that has looked so good in the morning and just has not shown up at all yet, is Gilded Age. I'm going to give Gilded Age one more shot here for Bill Mott with Jose Ortiz aboard. I mean, you're moving at Saratoga. If you go 47-1, you're moving for a work. That's a bullet with a capital B. We just haven't seen that during the day. This horse seems to love the mornings, but has been slow to start, and has, to be honest, been pretty disinterested in racing in the first 2 starts. But the pedigree is everything you want it to be. Obviously, they thought a lot of this horse going in for $600,000 Keeneland September sale last year. Maybe this horse just wants to be back at Keeneland. Loved the sales environment, and that's where this horse wants to break the maiden. But Bill Mott should have this one prepped and ready to go. We saw a comeback work, even though this horse just ran September 23rd. They did ran 48-1 at Churchill on October 2nd. I think they're figuring it out with this horse, and I think this horse will drift up. I think 8-1 is a terrible morning line based on what this horse has done, and I think the betting public will see that, and we'll get 15 to 20-1 on Gilded Age when they enter the gates, and we'll see if he can pull off the upset out of the 11 hole. So I'm going for $30 here, 5x2 by 2x3. And Andrew going with more of the JD style ticket, which is a little concerning to me, of the two singles and going deep in the two legs for $10. Andrew also probably playing a grid ticket. And if he plays that caveman ticket right there as part of that grid structure, that will probably be more than a 50-cent denomination in front of it, one would imagine.
Yeah. You might need to play that for a whole dollar. But the important thing in all of this is to get involved. Keeneland's card is amazing on Saturday, and Keeneland does a tremendous job of producing a top-notch product. It's one of the most exciting boutique meets in the country, and for good reason. You're going to see some top-notch horses. You're going to see some top-notch riders, some top-notch trainers. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool meet to follow, and it's a good meet where you really only need to be right once or twice in order to make enough money to subsidize your action for the meet. So get involved however you can. Have some fun watching the races. My goodness, you can look at this late pick 4 and come up with any number of different ways to attack it. It is such a good sequence, and I'm really looking forward to playing it on Saturday afternoon. If we're segueing into final thoughts, I've actually got one that lines up really well, but JD, you're holding up your hand on me.
I was going to say two things I want to keep people in mind of. They are doing a pick 3 for the last 3 turf races of the day at Keeneland. That was your final thought? I'm sorry.
Yes!
Okay, then I'll pause on that. And I will also say that one of the things I love about Keeneland is you get a rebate no matter what. They pay out to 4 of 5 regardless in the pick 5. So always good to at least get the first 4 legs done and know that you're going to at least get something back. Andrew, maybe should have brought that up in the pre-production meeting. I don't know.
My hand's a little thinner than I thought. I tried to, do one of these and just, ow. But yes, this is a happy thought. JD, did you know they're doing a special pick 3 at Keeneland?
Tell me about it, Andrew.
Okay. So every day of the fall meet, the last 3 turf races of each card are part of a $3 minimum bet. Now, this is a really cool thing, and it's one of those wagers that is a direct challenge to everybody who whines and complains about takeout and pools that are not player friendly. If you're not playing this ticket and you constantly complain about searching for the best value and searching for takeout friendly wagers and wagers that are friendly to the horse player, if you're saying that and you're not actively looking at turf races for this sequence, you have no point. This is a really cool thing that Keeneland's doing. It's innovative. It's different. No other track, I believe, has tried this, and I'm looking forward to supporting it at the windows because if you say, like 2 horses in turf races, enough to single them, you can go a little bit deeper in one of the other races, maybe bet against a favorite for not a lot of money. 1 by 4 by 1 is a $12 investment. And all of a sudden, your 2 singles get home, you beat a favorite, you're in line for a really nice score for not a lot of money. This is going to be really, really cool to see. I'm excited. Kudos to Keeneland for doing this. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. And I appreciate JD being so receptive and not jumping all over my toes with something I had prepared as a happy final thought. Should I just go incredibly angry and start yelling at people talking about jockeys hopping off horses willingly at mid-stretch?
No, probably save that.
We should probably let that go for the sake of our own sanity.
Yeah. JD, so, I think, in relation to trying to find some happy thoughts, I had some happy thoughts, and then we got a third violation for Peter Miller that came out as we were getting ready to record this show, and I am just curious to see where that will go. We have a lot of exclusions happening in racing. We've got the Baffert exclusions. We've got Broberg exclusions. We have Jerry Hollendorfer still fighting his exclusions at Santa Anita. We've got a lot of ugly legal battles that are either ongoing or about to take place, because I'm assuming we're going to get to that point with the Peter Miller saga here. And really what I would encourage everybody to do, because it's meant the world to me after the pandemic, and I think Andrew can back this up, is if you have the means to, just go out to a track. It doesn't matter if you place a single wager. It doesn't matter if it's a all quarter horse meet and you don't like quarter horses, or it's something weird, and depending on where you're at in the country, if it's harness, whatever, just get out and enjoy it, because that meant the world to me in terms of getting reinvigorated for the fall and the winter in terms of racing. Is just getting out on track and enjoying my time at Kentucky Downs, at Santa Anita, and now moving forward to Keeneland. Obviously, I'm talking about kind of the creme de la creme. So when I say go out to any track, and those are the tracks I'm mentioning,
snob,
it's really not fair. But I just think there's something about getting back out and being with people that are enjoying the same thing you are, that we've all kind of lost sight of in this pandemic, and we tend to bicker amongst ourselves and look at the negative things, because that's the easy thing to do when we are at home in our own homesteads. So be safe when you do it. Wear a mask, please, but go out there and enjoy some horse racing.
We bicker? Horse racing people bicker? Perish the thought. On a serious note, what he said, 1,000%. That's why I took my incredibly spur of the moment trip to this place back here in the summer. It's why I'm mulling over a drive down to see some of our friends at the Big Fresno
Fair.
Big Fresno Fair. Hi, Craig. Hi, everybody at CARF. Best wishes for a happy and safe meet down there. Fresno, really cool track. But if you go, remember, get a seat up on the second level. The sight lines down by track level, not all that great. Having said that, it's live racing. It's CARF. They bust their butts to put out a good product. Looking forward to seeing what they have in store this fall at the Big Fresno Fair. If you want to take a look, the last time they were at the Big Fresno Fair, I went. I did a vlog. It's up on my YouTube channel. You can take a look at that. At any rate, though, the important thing, staying positive. We've got 4 weeks left until the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Del Mar. We were sort of crisscrossing the country for a little while. We're back. We're hopefully better than ever. I have been using this break to talk to college kids and try to inspire them to do tremendous things. So I am thoroughly revitalized, and 200 to 300 college kids are now just thoroughly warped and questioning all of their life decisions. Shout out Jack Powers. Love you, buddy. At any rate, though, JD, it was fun being back. It's good to, knock the rust off. And if we wind up both, being bounced out in leg one, we can just say we needed to race off the layoff, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like we've been giving out tickets and doing things elsewhere.
No.
At all. No.
Why would we do that?
No, we've been off. If it doesn't happen on this show, it doesn't count. But if that's the case, then the sad fact is I still have not given away a winning ticket on this show.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there. I was going to let you go there. But now hopefully we'll wind up making some money for somebody out there in some form of fashion. And if we don't, there is a very vocal minority on Twitter that will absolutely let us know it. Speaking of which, yeah, horse racing Twitter getting a little draining.
Fade JD is always a winning angle. Just saying.
Hey,
it's what people tell me.
Well, you just need to hang around nicer people, I think.
And with that, please like, subscribe, ring the bell on YouTube, and enjoy content as we put it out and we get back into the groove of things. And comment, tell us what you like, Save what you don't like for yourself. And Andrew, why don't you hit it with the catchphrase?
For JD Fox, I'm Andrew Champagne. Thanks very much for spending some time with us. Best of luck, not just this week at Keeneland, but all meet long. Most importantly, though, stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Stay off the beaches, y'all.
Take care, guys.